Once upon a time, in the prosperous kingdom of Phoenicia by the Mediterranean Sea, there lived a princess named Europa, the daughter of King Agenor. She was as radiant as the morning light, with a pure presence and a noble soul. Her beauty was so extraordinary that it reached the heights of Mount Olympus, where Zeus, king of the gods, could not take his eyes off her, not even for a moment. To approach Europa without frightening her, Zeus devised a clever plan. He transformed himself into a snow-white bull, with fur that gleamed like moonlight and eyes as gentle as a cool spring. One radiant morning, as Europa and her maidens were picking flowers by the seaside, the strange bull drew near, yet aroused no fear. It even lay down calmly at her feet. Entranced by the creature's mystical beauty, Europa gently climbed onto its back. At once, the bull sprang forward, dashing across the waves, carrying her over the vast sea to the distant island of Crete. There, Zeus revealed his true form and declared his love for Europa. From this divine union, Europa bore Minos and Rhadamanthus, who would become legendary kings of Crete. Minos became known as a wise lawmaker and ruler of the labyrinth of the Minotaur, while Rhadamanthus was revered as a just judge in the underworld. Though Europa never returned to her homeland, her name lived on through the ages. In her honor, the ancient Greeks named the Western land, the destination to which the divine bull had carried her, Europe, the continent we know today. Io was a princess of dazzling beauty, daughter of King Inachus of Argos. Her innocent and radiant charm captivated Zeus, the king of the gods, who found himself helplessly drawn to her. Enchanted by Io, Zeus sought every way to approach her, yet he feared the wrath of his wife, the goddess Hera, and thus concealed his affection. To keep his affair hidden from Hera's watchful eyes, Zeus transformed Io into a white cow. But Hera was not so easily deceived. With a gentle smile, she requested the beautiful cow as a gift. Unable to refuse, Zeus reluctantly handed Io over. At once, Hera appointed Argos, a monstrous creature with 100 ever-watchful eyes, to guard Io night and day, leaving her no chance to escape. Pained by Io's fate, Zeus sent Hermes, the messenger of the gods, to rescue her. With his lyre and enchanting voice, Hermes lulled Argos into a deep sleep and then ended his life. But Hera was not yet defeated. In vengeance, she dispatched the Erinyes, relentless goddesses of retribution, to pursue and torment Io, driving her into a desperate flight across the earth, her bovine eyes filled with tears. At last, only when Zeus vowed never to see Io again did Hera cease her torment. Io was restored to human form and wandered to Egypt. There, she was worshipped as a goddess under the name Isis. She gave birth to Epaphus, her son, who would become the founder of the legendary city of Memphis on the banks of the Nile. Lamia was the queen of Libya, daughter of the mighty sea god Poseidon. Renowned for her enchanting beauty and noble intellect, Lamia drew the admiration of gods and mortals alike. Her beauty did not go unnoticed by Zeus, the king of the gods. The two were consumed by a passionate and secret love affair. But in the realm of Olympus, love with Zeus often came at a terrible cost. When Hera, Zeus's wife, discovered the affair, her fury was boundless. Unable to punish her husband directly, she unleashed her vengeance upon Lamia. In her cruelty, Hera either murdered Lamia's children one by one, or, in a darker version of the tale, cursed Lamia to devour her own offspring. This horrifying fate drove Lamia to madness. Her soul broken by grief and guilt, no mother should endure. Overcome by anguish and fury, Lamia fled from the light of the world. Her body began to change, twisted by divine rage and sorrow. Her upper half retained the form of a woman, but from the waist down, she became a serpent, a monstrous fusion of beauty and horror. Once a radiant queen, Lamia was now a fearsome creature that roamed the earth, preying on children as if in an eternal search for the children she had lost. Her transformation was not just physical, but spiritual. She became the embodiment of cursed love, maternal despair, and divine punishment. The myth of Lamia spread far beyond the ancient Greek world. In medieval European folklore, she re-emerged as a terrifying night phantom who lured children to their doom or seduced men only to destroy them. Lamia's tale is one of beauty turned to monstrosity, of a mother stripped of her children and her humanity. It is a warning of the wrath of gods, of the cost of forbidden love, and of the enduring power of sorrow. Her name has echoed through centuries, not just as a monster, but as a tragic symbol of the horrors that can befall those caught in the crossfire of divine passion and jealousy. Semele, the beautiful daughter of King Cadmus of Thebes, caught the eye of Zeus, king of the gods. Enchanted by her radiance and grace, Zeus descended from Olympus in secret and began a passionate love affair with the mortal princess. He visited her in human form, cloaking his divinity to protect her from the overwhelming force of his true self. However, their hidden romance did not escape the watchful gaze of Hera, Zeus's jealous wife. Consumed by rage and suspicion, Hera devised a cruel plan. Disguising herself as an old servant woman, she visited Semele and whispered seeds of doubt into her ear. "Are you certain it is Zeus?" the old woman murmured. "Gods often deceive mortals with false appearances." Confused and troubled, Semele became obsessed with the idea. The next time Zeus came to her, she pleaded for a sign. "If you truly love me," she begged, "show yourself in your full divine glory, just as you appear before Hera." Zeus recoiled, for he knew the danger. No mortal could witness the god of thunder in his true form and survive. Yet he had sworn upon the river Styx to grant Semele any wish, and he could not break such an oath. Reluctantly, he revealed himself in all his celestial brilliance, lightning, thunder, and divine fire radiating from his immortal presence. In that instant, the mortal Semele was consumed by the heavenly blaze. But as she perished, Zeus acted swiftly. From her womb, he rescued their unborn child and stitched the baby into his own thigh, keeping the infant safe until the time came to be born. From Zeus's thigh, a god was born, Dionysus, the god of wine, ecstasy, and celebration. Raised in secrecy, far from Hera's wrath, Dionysus would go on to bring joy and madness to mortals, blurring the line between divine and human experience. Semele's tragic fate became a powerful tale of mortal desire, divine love, and the price of seeking truths too great for human hearts to bear. Yet, through her loss, a new god was born, one who would forever carry the legacy of both heaven and earth within him. In the ancient kingdom of Sparta, Queen Leda, the noble and gracious wife of King Tyndareus, lived a life marked by duty and devotion. Her beauty was said to rival that of the goddesses, and it did not go unnoticed by the gods themselves. Zeus, king of the Olympians, gazed down from the heavens and was instantly enraptured by her radiance. Desiring her, but knowing he could not approach her in his true divine form, Zeus transformed himself into a magnificent swan, pure white, with wings like silken clouds and eyes full of celestial cunning. He descended to earth and sought Leda's comfort by pretending to flee from an eagle. Moved by the sight of the trembling swan, Leda took him into her arms to protect him. In that moment of vulnerability and closeness, Zeus revealed his true purpose. That very night, Leda also lay with her husband, King Tyndareus, fulfilling her wifely duties. From this divine and mortal union, she conceived in a most mysterious way, not through a normal pregnancy, but through the laying of 2 eggs. From one egg came Helen, whose beauty would one day launch 1,000 ships and ignite the legendary Trojan War, and her brother Pollux, both children of Zeus. From the second egg were born Castor and Clytemnestra, the offspring of Tyndareus. Thus, Leda became the mother of 4 extraordinary children, 2 divine and 2 mortal. Helen would become the most sought-after woman in the world, her abduction by Paris leading to the epic conflict at Troy. Clytemnestra, fierce and tragic, would later marry Agamemnon and take part in her own dark saga of revenge. As for the twin brothers Castor and Pollux, though they had different fathers, their bond was unbreakable. Together, they joined the heroic crew of the Argonauts, sailing in pursuit of the Golden Fleece. They were renowned for their bravery and loyalty, and when Castor, the mortal brother, died, Pollux, the immortal son of Zeus, begged to share his divinity with him. So great was his love that Zeus granted their wish, transforming them into the constellation Gemini, where they would shine together forever in the night sky. Leda's story, wrapped in mystery, passion, and divine intervention, became one of the most iconic tales in Greek mythology, symbolizing the complex entanglements between gods and mortals and the extraordinary destinies born from their union. In the age when God still shaped the fates of the cosmos, Metis stood among the most revered of the divine. A Titaness, she embodied wisdom and cautious counsel, her mind sharper than any blade forged on Olympus. Even the great Zeus, ruler of the gods, sought her guidance until desire overtook reverence. Zeus, captivated by Metis's intellect and beauty, pursued her relentlessly. Though Metis resisted, knowing the dangers of his affection, Zeus would not relent. At last, through force and divine will, he claimed her as his consort. But even in her quiet submission, the seeds of fate stirred. From the depths of the earth, Gaia, the ancient Earth Mother, whispered a prophecy that chilled the heavens. Metis would bear Zeus a daughter of unmatched power, and then a son who would surpass even Zeus himself, destined to overthrow his father. Fear gripped the king of the gods. In desperation to escape this doom, Zeus resorted to an unthinkable act. As Metis carried their unborn child within her, he summoned her near with soft words and swallowed her whole, hoping to erase the prophecy and seal fate within himself. But destiny is not so easily undone. Time passed, and Zeus began to suffer. A great, blinding pain erupted within his skull, as if the very universe strained to emerge from his mind. None of the gods could ease his agony until Hephaestus, the divine blacksmith, approached with hammer and axe. At Zeus's command, he struck his father's forehead with a mighty blow. From the cleft in Zeus's skull sprang Athena, fully grown, clad in gleaming armor and holding a spear of radiant light. Born not from a mother's womb, but from the mind of Olympus's king, she cried out with a voice that echoed through the heavens. Thus was Athena born, goddess of wisdom and strategic warfare, patron of heroes and protector of cities. She bore the intellect of Metis and the authority of Zeus, a union of mind and might. Zeus, in awe, declared her his beloved daughter, and no god or mortal dared challenge her power. Though Metis was never seen again, her essence lived on in Athena, forever shaping Olympus through wisdom, not wrath. In the forested realm of Arcadia, Callisto, a maiden of striking beauty and a devoted follower of the virgin goddess Artemis, lived a life of purity and strength. She hunted alongside Artemis, wielding her bow with unmatched skill and keeping her heart free from love or desire. But her beauty did not go unnoticed. Zeus, the king of the gods, watched her from Olympus and became enraptured. Determined to possess her, he descended from the heavens in disguise. Taking the form of Artemis herself, he approached Callisto in the woods. Trusting the familiar face, Callisto let her guard down, only to be deceived and taken by the god. Months passed, and her secret could no longer be hidden. Her growing belly betrayed her. When Artemis discovered the truth, she banished Callisto from the sacred circle of huntresses. Ashamed and heartbroken, Callisto wandered alone, eventually giving birth to a son named Argos. But the heavens had more misfortune in store. Hera, Zeus's wife, consumed by jealousy and rage, cursed Callisto by transforming her into a bear. Stripped of her voice and human form, Callisto roamed the forests in sorrow, unable to care for her child or explain her fate. Years passed. Argos grew into a skilled hunter, noble and brave, unaware that the great bear he would one day encounter was his mother. One fateful day, as he raised his spear to strike the beast, Zeus intervened in a final act of compassion. In a burst of celestial power, he plucked both Callisto and Argos from the earth and flung them into the heavens. Callisto became Ursa Major, the great bear. Argos, forever near her, became Ursa Minor, the little bear. They soared among the stars, immortalized in the sky as a mother and son reunited. But even this act of salvation stirred Hera's anger. She appealed to the sea gods, forbidding the two constellations from ever dipping below the horizon. And so, to this day, Ursa Major and Ursa Minor remain ever visible in the night sky, circling above the world but never setting. Eternal reminders of divine love, wrath, and the unbreakable bond between mother and child.